Welcome to another exciting episode of PDR Tool Time. Today's episode is number 230. 230. Isn't that the amount of minutes Vince spent in an airplane this week? I think it's got to be close. I'm alongside Vince D'Alessandro and Daniel Grom. Hudson Tansey is MIA. He's got 2 sick kids at home. So we know how Hudson's week was. How was your guys' week?
It was good. I spent the week in California, close to Daniel, but not close enough to get COVID.
Yeah. So you were wrapping things up, or were you nostalgic and missing California so bad?
No, I was wrapping things up with my business. I managed to sell the business to my old painter, not old painter, but my partner painter that was in charge of the paint department. I sold it to him. How'd it go? It went good. It was the fire sale. We have been doing the deal for the last month, but this was me going back to spend 5 days to show him how to do all the front office stuff. You know what I mean?
So nice.
Yeah.
And is he comfortable and ready? You think?
I think it is. I think he is. I think, being gone for a month to Texas and let him run the show by himself, I think he got to appreciate what I was actually doing in the front office with all the paperwork and dealing with customers. But it was a kind of a trial by fire for him, and I think he did okay. He is going to have stumbling. He's going to stumble here and there, but How's that going to even work, though? Because if you're a painter, you can't stop painting when a customer walks in. No, and that's a tough part. They will have to wait. You have to keep in mind, we're generally not blowing the whole car. We're doing a bumper blend. So if he's but still, you could be just starting and customer walks in. It's going to take you 20 minutes, maybe, right? No. The only time that really it's going to be detrimental is when he's blowing clear coat. If he's blowing base coat, we were using PPG water base, so he could just walk away from that, let it air dry real quick, and come back and throw another coat on it.
Yeah. Okay. And he could do like we used to do in the body shop years ago. It'd be like paint over lunch when you could close the door and, do your big jobs right at 5 so that you were closed in the evening. It sucks, but unless he wants to get an office staff.
Yeah. And he will be getting a prepper, definitely. And then hopefully he's been using one of the guys that I've been working with for the last 2 years doing PDR, but he needs more help with PDR. So any of my Southern California brothers listening, and you're looking to pick up some extra work or maybe have a location or another account to work out of, go see Dents No More, go see Gavin over there and work out a deal with them. Yeah. Yep.
Well, that's good. Congratulations on that. Were you happy with how it all turned out?
I'm happy with what has turned out during a pandemic. I had to cut my losses. I didn't get what I wanted for it, but that's okay. My legacy will hopefully live on with the name, and hopefully he'll make it proud. I think he will. And that's it. Closing a chapter of my life and moving on after 20 years of, Dents No More. It's gone. It's out of my hands.
Yeah. Now it's truly Dents No More for you.
It's Vince No More.
Yeah, Vince No More.
Someone pointed that out. Clinton Kidder. He's like, oh, now it's called Vince No More. Yeah.
So we got, let's moving on to in the news this week.
In the news.
And Mobile Tech RX is just announced some new features coming out. And I have to say that I'm been waiting for this for a long time. This is probably the best, most exciting news for me, and what I've been wanting in Mobile Tech RX is a calendar, a scheduler, all built into Mobile Tech RX. Right now I'm using a separate system, and I have to input customers' info twice to be able to use that system.
What system do you use? What system do you use right now?
I'm using Square.
You do use Square.
Square Calendar.
Okay. And I use Google Calendar.
Yeah. I use the Square Calendar because of the text alerts. And I would love to use Google Calendar. Why they don't have text alerts?
They do.
It's beyond me.
They do. They have text alerts and email alerts. Notifications, 5 minutes. You set it up.
Did they just add this?
No, I've had it for years. I would get notified. I had it set up to
notifying customers.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm using it for.
But if you have your email, it would notify a customer, because I would get an email saying, my daily agenda at 5:30 in the morning, and it was an email alert.
I tested it out a while ago, and I couldn't get it to do what I wanted to do. What Square does is it sends out a text alert, allows the customer to change or cancel the appointment from that alert. It gives me the option of how many times I want to alert that customer. So I do it once when he makes the appointment, and then the second time an hour before the appointment. Nice. And this has cut down on my no-shows probably 80%, maybe even 90%. Mm-hmm. And absolutely love it for that.
I think that's awesome. There's the argument that we were going back and forth, and we love Mobile Tech RX. They've revolutionized what they did for us in our industry with estimating and everything. The argument is, are they adding too much to their app that it's getting a little bit more cumbersome?
Yeah, I've heard some complaints about being buggy and stuff. I haven't. I mean, we've dealt with some bugs, but it hasn't been. They seem to fix it right away. I mean, it's just like any software. There's always going to be bugs for everything. So far, it hasn't been that bad for me anyway. That's my experience. But, adding a calendar is going to be, I think, huge. But they've got some other features that are kind of cool that they're doing. They're also going to have web quote tool. Now,
I was just reading that.
Yeah. So you're going to be able to have a web quote conversation. Now, what do you think that means, John?
Well, from my understanding, a lot of the web quote stuff is when you have a retail customer on your website and they are wanting, just to get that quick quote from you. They can upload their year, make, model, their customer info, and now it's going to auto-populate it all into MTRX. Oh. That's my understanding of what they have going, and it basically it's going to pre-start the whole estimate, allow you to send that dollar amount back. Now, I just now reading about all of this stuff this morning, so I don't attend any meetings anymore. I don't have anything to do with the company. So
I think that's important for everyone to know, is John's not our tech support anymore. He's no longer an employee of Mobile Tech RX.
So Daniel, are you doing any of the beta testing on this calendar stuff?
No, I'm gonna ask to, because I definitely want some input on it.
It should be interesting. My understanding, reading through everything, some of the email stuff that you were just talking about, it looks like there's the email and the text alerts that are going to be able to go out to remind your customers, hey, don't forget your appointment. You should be able to probably do those updates. I would assume, now I can't say for sure because, again, no beta testing going on between the three of us, but I'd assume they want to do the updates. This has become the most popular thing out there right now is text updates. Hey, your car come in through the door. We've got it all apart. The dent repair is going well. Everything's going good. Right now, I still call my customers on that.
I've been using the crap out of it.
Yeah. And it looks like they're going to have some of that stuff set. So as you change that workflow in MTRX, it looks like maybe you can automate some of that, which that would be freaking handy.
Yeah.
To be able to have a text go, hey, the work is now completed. Your vehicle's all done. Downside of that is if you finish that car in an hour, move it from a work order to invoice, and then auto kicks that text, you might not want to do that. You may want to hold it into work order. Yeah, I can't say how it's going to function.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
It's because I know some guys move them into invoice pretty darn fast. And if that's an auto setup or a feature that does become available.
But I think you'll have control of it. So you can
That's pretty cool if it's automated like that. That if as soon as you move it over, it does that. That's pretty neat. I know for myself, I always waited until the customer showed up to move it into invoice.
Yeah, or I do it right before.
Yeah.
But I can't say that it's doing that. Don't quote me on that. Right. But it'd be pretty damn pimp if it did.
It did. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what Mike Toledo does with the auto stuff because he's Mr. Auto Text.
Yeah, he's automated everything.
But here, I will say this about the bug stuff. And I get frustrated with it myself. In fact, we're going to talk about that pickup that I posted in the Tool Time pages here pretty soon. And we got bit by a major bug in MTRX themselves. Having been a part of a software company now and understanding shit happens. And it happens to us when we're doing dent repair and we fix a million mistakes that we do every day long fixing dents.
Yep.
And the difference is with software, it's a whole different animal to fix it because typing in this section of code can bone up this other section of code. And it is frustrating. It's annoying. But just send your email off to the tech support crew. Make sure that they're available for. If you don't like something about the software, send a note. You don't have to be a dick. Just send a note that says, hey, like I did about having to press the skip button when you go from estimate to work order. It's annoying. Yeah. I hate it. Yeah. I'm like, I made my voice clear in an email. I didn't call my partner or anything like that. I just sent an email that says, put my name on the list of people who hate this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Now,
and go ahead, Vince.
No, I was going to move on to something else, but I don't think we're done here yet. I have something else in the news. Carry on.
Well, just to close it out, in the calendar, you're going to be able to assign it to different texts. And you'll see that in your calendar, which is kind of cool. They did do an update recently in the pay. If you're taking payments through Mobile Tech RX, you can now get tips, which is kind of a nice little feature.
I believe the reader is now available as well.
Oh, okay, good, because I got to order that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the direction they're going and all the features. So I have no complaints. Personally.
Nice. No, I have no complaints either. I think it's made me a lot of money. I will say this, the first thing, if you ever run into a problem with an update, what's the first thing you do, John?
Email tech support.
Oh, really?
Or call.
I always unload it and reload it from the Google Play Store or Apple iTunes.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, that's really the best. I haven't had that issue. I haven't dealt with that stuff for months now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I one of the first things I always do is just delete the app and re-download it.
Yeah.
I don't trust. And it's not an MTRX or DentMate or DingStinger or any other app. Yeah. It's the device. They suck. It doesn't matter. Phone, tablet, Apple, Android.
Just remember, it's going to outer space and back. It's going to a satellite. If 10 or 1 gets crossed, you didn't get the full update or the full download, and things are going to be screwed up. So just uninstall it and reinstall it. There was a guy that was going on blast on the internet last week, and I noticed I told him to do that, and like 5 minutes later, he took the whole post down. It was like the thread was like 30 deep. By the time I got to it, and I'm like, dude, just uninstall it and reinstall it. And then he came back and said a couple comments, and I went to go comment on it, and he took the whole thread down because he knew that was the solution. So first and foremost, if you're having a problem with Mobile Tech RX,
turn the computer off and turn it back on.
All right, exactly.
Basically,
take it off your phone or your tablet and put it back on because it's sometimes things happen. So,
downloads get
what else is in the news there, Vince?
Okay, we didn't even mention it, but we do not have Mobile Tech Expo happening in Texas. Or in Texas, Vegas. Good Lord.
Officially canceled.
It's officially canceled. So in case you guys haven't heard, it is officially canceled. If you're going, go and have fun, but you're not going to be going to Mobile Tech Expo.
Yeah, a lot of people already have motel rooms and flights booked and locked. So they're all having a wonderful vacation, the people that I've talked to.
Yeah. And
that's all I was going to be anyway.
Well, there was Education Day. I was going to speak at it, and the Toledo's, Mary and Mike, and they were going to speak at it, which I did have dinner with them this weekend, which was nice to see them.
Sweet.
Yeah. So do not go to Vegas at the end of August here for Mobile Tech Expo, because it's not happening.
Okay.
Go for fun.
Go for fun.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. What's the meat of our show here? Are we gonna deep dive into John and how he made so much money? How do we make more money for our guests, our listening audience?
Yeah. I wouldn't say I made a lot of money. I just finally got one vehicle where I was able to put 100% of everything together. Most of the time we get to do it little snippets here, little snippets there, little bit. And we got the unicorn in. The unicorn is the truck that has all of it, that allows us to do everything and get paid for 100% of what we do.
So what you're saying, John, is the juice was worth the squeeze this time.
It was worth every squeeze.
Okay. So now, how often does that squeeze happen and the juice so sweet? Because
I would say pretty rare.
Pretty rare. Okay. But you do try and write up these cars like this every single time, right?
Oh, absolutely. But the issue is the storm that we're at, most of the panels have cracked paint.
Right.
So a lot of these jobs we're doing for the body shop. And for those that have seen the posts, seen the videos of the truck, if that was for a body shop, no way in hell would I have ever done that hood. That hood took me almost 2 days alone. I never spend that much time on a panel.
Right.
One dent, I had over 4.5 hours in.
Yikes.
Wow. And Jesse had a lot of pat John on the back, make him feel pretty moments, because that is mentally frustrating.
Come on, you could do it. You could do it.
Yeah, so it's going good.
How is that justified in the estimate than replacing it?
Actually, we didn't care about replacement costs at all when we wrote that estimate. That
because your customer was on your side.
Yeah, and so we should start from the beginning.
Yeah, let's back up. What is the truck that you're talking about? Your make and model? This is
a 2019 Chevrolet 3500 crew cab. So this is a 1-ton dually.
And what type of damage did it entail? Did it collision?
This is all large extreme hail.
Okay.
So the customer showed up. I know he shopped us all around. He's a retired car salesman. He's been retired 5 years. He lives full-time in an RV. His last truck was totaled out in Billings, Montana a year ago. That's how he acquired this truck. The truck had 9,000 miles on it. I don't think anybody's even stepped on the back seat floor mats.
Right.
We masked them off completely because we didn't want to be the first one to put a scratch on those sill plates. So this guy knows about PDR. He absolutely did not want paint work. He knows auto body. Like I said, he's been a retired car salesman. So he knows what to look for. He knows PDR. He shopped us around. We fixed this thing in a small town in western South Dakota. The owner of the truck is from Tennessee. And we had the owner of the vehicle 100% on our side from the beginning.
Okay. So there's a scenario.
That's the most important thing. Because if you have to fight the owner of the vehicle to do paintless dent repair on the whole thing, as well as try to fight insurance, you're in a lose-lose.
Now, when you say he was on your side, he was choosing PDR over conventional repair, correct?
Absolutely.
He did not want to paint his brand new truck with 6,000 miles on it, right?
Yes.
So he was willing to wait a month, whatever it took for that insurance company to come to terms and an agreement with you, right?
Well, they started with photo claims.
Right.
And he had to do the photo claims, and Progressive Insurance wrote an initial bid of $2,900 on the pickup.
Right.
He was.
It's white, by the way. You should say it's a white Silverado.
Yes, the truck was white.
Photos, white. Yeah, that worked well.
But it goes much deeper than that, as I learned throughout the month. So he was pretty vulgar with his description of what Progressive could do with their $2,900 estimate.
Right.
So much so that he declined the check and he declined all paperwork. So when he brought it in to schedule for us, we did not write him an initial estimate. He showed up at our shop. I told him, your truck is bad. The whole thing can be fixed. If you want to bring it back and schedule it, let us know. He did. We mapped all the damage on the truck. That means we ran around the entire truck with dent lights, markers, and we marked every single dent. On all the large dents were all marked on the extremes of both ends of that dent. Then we wrote the whole truck up. We wrote it for price of dent, multiple price of dents on every single panel. Didn't care. The only dents that fell within any form of a hail matrix was roughly 10 or 12 dents.
On what panel? Or just total throughout the
both roof rails total. Both roof rails each had a couple of dents. Mm-hmm. One or two dents on each of the left side panels, and the right box side was wrote in a hail matrix. And it was all done on the State Farm matrix, because the matrix at this junction was pointless. That was like $400 worth of hail matrix dents.
Right.
Meaningless.
Yeah. Totally meaningless. Gotcha.
There was a toolbox sitting in front of the fifth wheel hitch plate that also had a dent, so we had to include that in our estimate. So all grand total, the initial estimate that we wrote included a conventional hood replacement, or that added up to about $2,500, because we knew no matter what we did on that hood, it was going to be wrote for replace, and it would just be click, put a panel on it and paint it. We don't blend white. So we bid it to rip the entire front end off, blend the fenders, the whole 9 yards. That way we had $2,500 on the hood.
Nice. Okay.
We also included the toolbox. So our initial supplement, when we sent that into Progressive, the complete estimate was $15,500 and change.
And how long did it take you to write up that estimate? A day? 2 days? You had it done?
Yeah, it was about 3 hours.
3 hours. Okay. Perfect. So you were at day one. He came in for an appointment. You had that. He dropped off his car. You wrote up that estimate of $15,000 within the 3 hours of having it and sent it off to Progressive, right?
We sent it off the next morning because we took a little extra time to review. It was brought in the afternoon. We wrote up the whole estimate. In fact, I think it was about 8 or 9 o'clock that night. I added some more stuff to that estimate. Okay. It was like, hey, we forgot this.
Gotcha.
Forgot this.
Okay. So at that point, it is now on the clock. It is now in your shop, and you are now charging storage fees at that point, correct?
We didn't charge storage until after we sent off the supplement.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
Because it's our responsibility. If we don't send off the supplement, Progressive doesn't know to do anything.
Exactly.
So that's on us.
Yes. So I'm just trying to paint the whole timeline along here. So
right. So this is June 15th. June 16th, we sent off the supplement. Yeah. I did not expect to hear anything back for a day or two. We were expecting a massive phone call, because I mean, we're talking $1,200 here on a fender, $1,200 on a door. I mean, this was a huge ticket job. My list of miscellaneous was huge. Pre and post scan was $130 each. So it was a monster. I charged for glue tabs, alcohol, towels to wipe everything down with, masking the sill plates, yada, yada, yada. You go on and on and on. I gave them 2 days. I called Progressive. As soon as I gave them the claim number, it was like, well, it was assigned to a supervisor. A supervisor should call you. Mm-hmm. The owner of the vehicle called every day. He called on the 16th. He called on the 17th. He would email and call every single day. From then on,
you or Progressive?
Progressive. Okay. Him and I stayed in contact each time that one of us contacted. So we were pretty much in contact every single day. I called every other day to Progressive because I didn't care. It was like we figured it was going to be a week.
Right.
You know, you'd send off a $13,000 supplement. I don't expect a call back in 20 minutes.
Sure.
So but it kept progressing. After a week, then pretty soon it was 2 weeks. Then it was 3 weeks. And every time I would call, I would get something different. And I finally got one gal who actually spent some time to talk to me. And she's like, oh my God, I don't understand what's going on. And I said, well, it's crazy. This thing's just racking up storage. And I told him it was $200 a day for storage. Now, the body shop across the street from me charges $25 a day for storage. Nobody else but the tow yards in this town charges for storage.
And you have this posted?
Yeah. I made a sign specific. Never had to charge storage before. Never had a supplement take longer than 24 hours.
Right. And now you're two weeks into it.
Now we're 3 weeks.
3 weeks into it. Sorry. Yeah.
I get a call back and they're like, okay, we're going to send out an IA, an independent adjuster. I'm like, sweet. July 3rd, an independent adjuster finally shows up. He spends 20 minutes snapping photos of this entire truck mapped out. This truck has stayed inside. When I mean this thing was cleaner than when he picked it up at the dealer, it was cleaner than when he picked it up at the dealership.
Right.
So it's staying inside, eating a ton of floor space. I'm putting a battery tender on it because it's being here so long. IA comes in. We get nothing back the following Monday. Mm-hmm. The July 3rd was a Friday. We get nothing back the following Monday, nothing on Tuesday. I'm calling Progressive. They're like, we haven't seen anything. Finally, I get a supervisor. And our customer actually got a hold of the supervisor because he was raising holy hell at this stage. He's been in a rental this whole time. And he is literally raising hell. I mean, he's threatening lawsuits. He's got a Blazer that was hit. Their RV was hit. I mean, he's going ballistic. He's learning everything there is about Tennessee state law, South Dakota state law. He is becoming the true learned individual when it comes to his damage. So I call and leave this supervisor a voicemail. He calls me back and tells me Progressive has not heard back from the IA. They can't get a hold of the IA. They haven't got any paperwork from the IA, but they have an estimate for $14,400. And I'm like, well, who wrote that? Photo Claims had a $2,900 estimate, which the supervisor automatically was like, I don't know how on earth anybody could have wrote an estimate that low on this truck with the damage that was seen in the photos.
Sure. Yeah.
So now I'm like, well, now we're getting somewhere. Who's got this $14,000 estimate? I don't know. But they don't hear anything back. We don't hear anything back. I'm calling every single day. Still not getting anything back. I let the supervisor know, hey, I'm charging you $200 a day for storage.
Yeah.
He's like, I understand. That's all I'm getting. I understand. But never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. This is Progressive's mistake. They dropped the ball.
Sure.
So I'm just like, wow, man, $200 a day. So pretty soon I get this call from this adjuster. He says he's a full-time Progressive employee, but he sends me an estimate from this Mountain Laurel Assurance Company.
Okay.
I'm like, well, who is this? It's got to be the most horrible, all conventionally wrote estimate I've ever seen. Uh-huh. But he said, the only thing I'm trying to do is match your numbers. We know your PDR in the whole truck. And I'm like, okay. And so he sends it back, $15,295 and change.
Not including storage fees.
Not including storage fees. He's like, you got to deal with the supervisor on storage. I'm like, I know. And, but this is just an arm of Progressive Insurance. So nothing comes back in Progressive's paperwork.
Right.
So he says, I know you're going to PDR this. I'm talking with the insured. So it all boils down to, I get all of this paperwork back. The biggest difference was the toolbox in the back. We had $1,000 in 2 hours labor. It was $840 and a half hour labor on the paperwork. Yep. So, I mean, there's our $200. It was like a compromise of $30 in labor.
Right.
So we get the insured in. I rewrote the estimate all PDR. Matched every panel dollar for dollar to what the insurance company had down in an all conventional estimate. And we left the $130 for both pre and post scan because this adjuster added both of those for $130.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it's like, hey, I'm getting somewhere, but I still can't, it's like, who's ever heard of this Mountain Laurel? This is so we agree to it. I bring the customer in. I make him sign the paperwork that I have all labeled up that we are doing a change of repair to document how the vehicle is actually being repaired. And that was every panel, hood, roof, sides. The whole truck was wrote for conventional. I changed it all to reflect PDR, all for the exact same dollar amount. And I sent that back to the Progressive supervisor. So it was in Progressive's file that whole truck was PDR'd with the owner's signature attached to that change of repair. The supervisor called me back and says, hey, we got all your paperwork. Everything's good to go. Let's go over storage. What do you want?
$200 a day.
And he says, we're thinking $75 a day. I said, my rates are $200 a day. He says, there's no way I can pay that. And I said, that's understandable. I said, the reason we charge $200 a day is I don't want people leaving a car here for a month.
Yeah.
And he's like, I understand that. He's like, where are you at? And I'm like, $200 a day for 27 days. And I said, I tell you what, here's what I'll do. His Blazer is an obvious total loss. Nobody's writing it. He's arguing. He's fighting. I'll write the estimate on that Blazer for you. He says, okay, how about we do $100 a day for 30 days and you still write the Blazer estimate? I said, you know what? You got a deal. $100 a day was all we wanted. Seems how nobody else in the town charges storage. We just wanted to get $100 a day at least.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking a huge ass truck that's taking up a lot of real estate in your shop.
Exactly.
Storage. Man, if it was outside, it would have gotten hit like 3 times with all the hailstorms that you had going through there.
Exactly. And that's something that the insured even pointed out. He's like, honestly, the truck was safest being in your building for the last month.
Exactly.
Because it missed 3 other hailstorms. It really did.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, all right. So what's the moral? What's the lesson here?
The lesson is stick to your guns. Write a clean sheet. Our sheet was completely clean that we sent to them.
Yeah.
There was no fluff. They couldn't call back. I didn't say every one of those large dents was 95 oversized dents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Each one of those was completely off a hail matrix. So they were 3 inches. They were deep. If it went through a body line, went through a body line. Write it up, but stick to your guns.
Now, let me ask you a question. The reason you had to rewrite it and resubmit it to Progressive that you're doing PDR, was that for liability reasons? What? Because I wouldn't maybe not thought of that. I would have taken the money as a conventional repair and just taken the money, cashed it, and
that's what most of the time it gets done. But honestly, I don't know if this was good, bad, or indifferent. What I figured was I preach cover your ass. I was covering my ass on this.
You're crossing the T's.
Yeah, this was an important one to do it with.
We just did $18,000 on this truck. So I made sure that customers' documentation for the payment to us said that we were PDR in his whole truck. I made sure Progressive knew that Impact paintless dent repair was PDR in this whole truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, okay, you're all done. You give the customer the keys back. His response is what?
Actually, I had it parked in the stall next door. We rent the shop next door. I had it parked over there and we had the door open to because it was so hot. He snuck in.
Hot. Sorry.
And spent 20 minutes looking that truck over before he let us know he was there.
Nah.
Sneaky.
Yeah, that truck was disassembled so thoroughly. And then we went through, because something of this magnitude, and when the dollars hit this, everybody's going to be looking for any excuse to get money back.
Yes.
Especially everybody knew there was $3,000 in storage.
Now, hold on now. Now, this is a used car salesman, retired. So he's probably wanting a cut. He wants something kicked back, right? Hey, you did so well on this. Come on, man. Was he pulling one of those?
Well, if I'd have had any mistakes for him to find, he could have.
Right.
But he checked for drill marks. He checked for everything. I gave him the videos that we took of the underside of the panels after all repairs were completed. If there was a scratch, it got painted. And on this white Chevrolet, we had to start with the olive drab and lay it on.
With the undercoating, you mean?
Yep, on the underneath side to get it to look right.
Yeah.
And then you had to fog the white over the top of the olive drab to get the actual tone exactly the same.
Because you're using the Power PDR box, so you were taking paint off, correct?
Yeah, we did that in 2 locations, one on the roof and one on the hood. And both were a surprise. We did not expect those dents to have an issue. But we fogged that paint in, and everywhere else, we didn't really. I had a couple that I kind of scratched up pretty good under the hood, so I sanded those a little bit and fogged the paint in onto that.
Are you rattle canning this?
Yeah, this was with the SEM E-Coat, so it's the same colors because we had to match the color.
SEM Easy Coat. That's what. It's good stuff.
Yes, we had to match the colors because it had to look like if somebody else took the car apart, we didn't want chewed up marks anywhere to be found. On the hood, when I shrunk that, it was above a brace. I custom built tools to go inside my Power PDR box to do the brace. Not only did I refinish underneath that brace before I put the foam back, and we put all the foam back everywhere where foam was cut on this truck, it was replaced.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Then how did you sand the paint underneath the brace? How'd that happen?
I ordered a windshield cutting tool, a stainless steel windshield cutting tool, like the windshield guys use in reciprocating saws.
Yeah.
And I put a piece of sandpaper on that.
Dude, that's over and above.
Well, we've been experimenting how we can shrink a dent above a brace.
Yeah.
So this was all part of it, along with a custom bent whale tail.
If you don't want to do that, Daniel, what you can do too is I take a scraper and I put tape on it, like 320 that has adhesive back.
Yeah.
And I put it on there and I scrape underneath the brace. Go ahead.
This is a scraper. It's exactly the same as what you're talking about, Vince, except it has a sharp edge for cutting through urethane. So it cuts through the foam right up against the upper metal.
Yeah, the skin.
Yep. That way you're not trying to sand through that foam, because if you hit that with a piece of sandpaper, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah, it's pain butt.
Interesting. Okay.
So this was the experiment to get above those braces, and I just ordered it off Amazon for like $30, and it didn't have to do with this truck. It has to do with this storm with these dents that are so big, and body shops are like, man, anything you can do to save it.
Yeah. Well, make sure you put the link up here in the show notes for that as well.
Well, I'm not saying it working perfect yet. So before I can't, I'm not showing the custom tooling I made for the Power PDR box either.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because I don't have it tuned in to fully functional.
You're in R&D still. You're in R&D.
Yep.
Gotcha. Not a problem.
Exactly.
So yeah, and it's just proven once again that the Power PDR box it saves panels. It really does.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting there's like 2 new ones out on the market now. There's one by Cam Auto that Black Plague is selling right now. I haven't seen it. I haven't tried it. And from what I hear, it's heavy, like the first generation of the Power PDR box. It's a big unit. It's a heavy unit. So that's the only feedback I've heard. It looks like it might work. I've never tried it in my hand, so I don't know for sure. And then there's a new one on the market that just came out too from Italy. That's been the guy's been posting from Italy.
From XL?
I think no, not XL. XL is a big dent machine. Okay. But there's an Italian fella that's been posting on PDR Tool Time Facebook page lately.
Let me see if I can find the name real quick while you're talking about it, Vince.
Yeah, because he was posting these posts. I'm like, dude, there's no pictures involved. What the hell are you posting? So, I had to tell him to correct whatever he was doing. But anyways, it's a Power PDR box, basically copy. And I actually thought that they had a patent on the Power PDR box. So I'm not exactly sure how that all works out. But
gotcha.
Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know either. So it's pretty good. But anyhow, also, I have 3M Rust Fighter, and everything was hosed down post repair before the vehicle was put together. This includes the insides of the doors, under hood bracing. All under hood holes were meticulously straightened. Anything that had a scratch was touched up, including the bolts under the hood. Mm-hmm. That truck, I am 100% confident, can be pulled apart by anybody else and not ever known it was worked on.
You didn't leave a whale tail in the roof anywhere?
No, actually, I thought I was going to have to in the hood. Thought I was like, man, we're charging an extra 125 because we're cutting the handle off. We got wedged in pretty tight, but everything fixed out. The edge pliers and the fender pliers were instrumental in doing the back of the hood. All 3 layers were crushed down in 3 large spots.
Yeah, you made a video of that too as well.
Yep, and they were instrumental. Hardly even a mark on the back sides of those using those fender and edge pliers. So
yeah, they are great.
Yeah, so really great stuff. The repair came out super good. Customer's ecstatic. We're gonna do he's settling on the Blazer. We're gonna do a jack and crack on the tops of it because paint's already blown on it.
Sure.
And he wants to get the top of it bedline. So we're giving him a bit of a discount on that because that's where the salesman comes in.
Exactly.
And you guys, you kind of killed it with that storage thing. Can you help a fella out?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's only a jack and crack, so it's not like we have to go over and crazy on that. So
yeah. Well, that's good stuff, man. I'm happy, and I'm happy you got the money. And I think it's important to know that, one of the things I asked you early on is because I knew the answer to this. This doesn't happen all the time. It's the unicorn. You do strive to make it happen all the time, right?
Yes.
I think this is a good example of what is possible. And it's like, I was listening to Mike Toledo's podcast. He was talking about limiting beliefs in your own mind. Guys saying, "Oh, I can't get that where I'm at," but it's like the guy that ran the first mile. Everybody said that 4-minute mile could never be done. Once he did it, there was like 28 guys that did it like the next week.
Sure.
So
exactly.
It's your own limiting beliefs of what you think you can get and what's possible, how to do something right. I mean, John, you killed it by doing everything right on this, and that's a great example for other guys. This is what our industry needs to do it right.
And I think it's important for our listening audience to know that John's not doing this. We're not doing this podcast to brag about it. It's not a bragging scenario here. We know John's the 1% technician and all that, but it's to help our community. We all need to be writing better estimates for everything we do.
Yeah. Absolutely. This is the town of you can't get that here. I was told I couldn't charge this. I was told I couldn't get the storage. I was told I couldn't get that dollar amount on the storage. And I was told I definitely couldn't get storage on a vehicle I was fixing. I did all of those things in a town that cannot and will not move on from the State Farm Hail Matrix.
Right. 1998.
Exactly.
They're stuck.
So, and I wasn't doing this to be like, look how much money I got. It wasn't that. In fact, we weren't even we didn't have a dollar amount in mind. That truck was wrote, what's it going to take for me to mentally spend 2 days on this hood? I knew that was a 2-day hood.
Right. So that was your go away price, right?
It was. If we didn't get matched, to be within that $1,000 of basically eliminate the toolbox, because the customer was taking the toolbox money regardless.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not buying a new toolbox.
Right.
But it had to be on the estimate. So it was like, if we didn't get that truck was going down the road. We were not going to repair it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Didn't care.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful, man. I'm happy that you got what you did, and I think this is a learning lesson for all of us, whether we're writing hail damage or dent removal. I'm definitely to blame for that for years. I can't get Paul Corden prices. I can't. And in the area, I didn't, but I strived. And when I could, I did. And when it was dealing with insurance companies and trying to save a panel or trying to, the customer wants to have PDR rather than paint, I capitalized on that. And, I was telling you about the Tesla hood that I did not too long ago.
Yeah.
That was my time to capitalize on that. I got $3,200 to do a hood and 2 dents on each fender. And that was the time to capitalize.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
and this was just a time to put everything in motion all on one vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I take away from this is writing the estimate correctly. Number one, here's a couple tips that I use. Who's paying? Who's paying for the repair? So by asking quality questions up front to find out if it's customer pay, is it insurance pay, is it a third party that hit the car? All those factors are very, very important in writing your estimate. Absolutely. And knowing that up front.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, 100%, especially when you're a retail PDR only shop. The more information, I have my spiel when I walk out to that customer. Oh, what happened to your poor car? You're getting the story out of them as you're walking up, as you're pulling out your Mobile Tech RX and getting the VIN numbers. You're asking those key questions that Daniel just talked about. Oh, what happened? Did someone hit you? Did you hit it? Who's paying for this? All those questions are coming out as you're writing up the estimate. So you're just copulating all those things in your brain. Like, okay, now here's my salesmanship. All right, insurance, here we go. Paul Corden matrix. This, that. We're writing for this. We're writing for that.
I made this mistake last week because I had a customer. I was super busy. I kind of recognized the guy. We started talking about how we knew each other and forgot those steps and then wrote the estimate. And so I kind of knew him. So I was giving him the buddy discount. And then I hand it to him and he goes, yeah, I'm going to contact my insurance company. I'm like, oh my freaking God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's worse, when you do that or when they say, oh, that's great, I got an insurance check for $5,000 and you're only charging me $275?
Yeah.
I got plenty of those.
Yeah,
I had plenty of those.
I don't do a lot of the estimating because I'm not from this town, and I believe in just writing one way of estimating, and that is all the way every single time. And I know I would burn some bridges if I did that. But the main thing is don't get emotionally invested in those dollars. I know we've talked about that a lot here, but I had a very long phone call with another technician who's got a customer. Now this guy could just go scratch a check for a whole nother car that got destroyed. And it's his, Challenger, Hellcat, but he absolutely doesn't want the car cut apart. He doesn't care that it's got to be painted and it's got cracked paint. Just don't cut my car apart.
Right.
And the PDR guy's like, oh man, I can't, I gotta take a price of paint in. I gotta take a panel. I'm like, what? Whoa, no. You were being requested a specific method to repair that vehicle. That means no cutting the car apart. Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
So if the workload is the workload, therefore the price is the price.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the way this truck was wrote. What's it going to take to not do any of this work? Any paint work on this truck? Well, it's going to cost a buttload of money because it's going to take a buttload of time.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So if the work is the work, then the cost is the cost.
Mm-hmm. I'm right.
And charge it, But what was I going to be out if this truck went away? Other than the month that stupid thing sat in our way and we had to work around it.
Yeah. We all know that the worst thing is doing a job that you're not getting paid for.
Not getting paid for.
Yeah.
And we've done a lot of $700 and $800 dents at this storm, and Jesse will be doing it, and he'll be, you go into Mind Frazzle. You guys do it with the huge door smashes and huge quarter smashes. Mm-hmm. It's like, man, I don't think I'm making it look better.
Right.
Am I doing the right thing? Because it always gets uglier before it gets better.
Yep.
And you got to tell yourself, yeah, I'm getting paid to do this. I've got 2 days to get this done.
Yeah.
So change your mindset, and the price makes it well worth it. So, and I ignore every other factor that's out there. What conventional costs, if it's being requested, if it's extreme and it's being requested that I do it, then the money's the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the most important thing is you found out that customer, was all for PDR.
Yeah.
Knowing what the customer's motivations are, what they know about auto body, those are stuff that you need to know up front.
Yeah.
That helps out everything else line up.
Oh yeah. If he would have been basically an insurance bitch, like if Progressive would have called him up and said, "Hey, you need to go to our preferred body shop over here, and they're just going to paint your whole truck," and be like, "Okay, I guess that's what I have to do because that's what they said." If he'd have been that guy, the whole thing would have gone south. We probably wouldn't have even got the storage, honestly.
Yeah.
Unless we'd gotten it out of the customer.
Right.
So, but he wasn't that guy. He was 100% on our side.
Yeah. No.
So
that's awesome. Well, you know what? We're reaching the end of our podcast here. We've been on for about 50 minutes here, and
one last thing, Vince.
But before we do, John has something else to say.
Zola 8 is the name of that other box that we were talking about. So there's Power PDR, the one that's being sold by Black Plague, the Big Dent machine from Excel, and now this Zola 8.
Yes.
Are all and they're all supposed to do pretty much the same thing, only maybe do it a little bit different.
Now, I did hear that the one that Black Plague is selling, it's Black Plague, right?
Yes, because it's coming from Cam Auto, I believe Black Plague is the only reseller right now.
Right. That does have a push button on the wand, is what I heard. Which I know a lot of people have been restricted of buying a Power PDR box because they don't have that button. They think it should have a button. I agree. I think it should have a button on it to turn it on and control it right there, just as a safety measure. But I've never had, it wasn't a deal breaker for me. I'd just put it down and just be very cautious and safe where I'm putting it down. But, the button on the wand does make sense.
You can, and you can melt your Carbon Tech hood stand canvas cover with the wand on a Power PDR box.
Yeah, but that's going to do that regardless. It's going to, with a button or not, because it gets so freaking hot.
Yeah, I've melted a couple things.
Yeah.
Come to think of it.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
You just don't want to lay it down on a panel that you pulled off,
No.
Yeah.
Melt through that.
Now, upcoming episodes, one of the polls that we did a couple weeks ago with Hudson did on PDR Tool Time was, the new guys out there that are going through training and stuff like that. And we did find a technician that's willing to come on and talk to us about his trials and tribulations last year. He was trained by Mike Toledo last year, and we're going to get him on next episode, and we'll pick his brain and kind of help mentor him a little bit. He's a great guy. I've met him several times. And his name's Chris Dale, and he is a listener of our show. That's why he contacted us and said, hey, I could give you a little bit of insight, and we appreciate that. So we'll be contacting Chris Dale. And anyone else, if you guys have been, a year or less or 2 years or less and you're struggling to find accounts or you knocked it out of the park right out of the bat, we want to hear from you. We want to hear, share your experience and your strengths and your hopes and your knowledge with everyone else in our industry. And let's just make this industry a little bit more better. More better.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds good, buddy.
So, okay. Well, Daniel. Yeah. What do you got to say, man?
Well, guys, level up your estimating tools.
Don't do stupid stuff.
And keep it stiff.
Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all the industry and tool-related news every week.
Visit AnsonPDR.com for the largest selection for just about all your PDR tools, where you'll find hog glue and hog tabs.
Don't forget to grab your Magnatech mat, available at most PDR tool distributors.
Mobile Tech RX, the app that helps you make more money.